It's a quiet Saturday morning. You're standing in your kitchen in sweatpants, holding a coffee that went cold 20 minutes ago because you've been frozen in place, staring at your phone. A headline just hit you like a slap. The average American in their mid-40s has a net worth of nearly $1 million. You're 45. You have a 401k you try not to think about too hard. A mortgage with what feels like a lifetime left on it. And maybe a loan statement sitting unopened on the counter. You are nowhere near $1 million. So either everyone around you is secretly wealthy, or something about that number is deeply wrong. Here's the truth. The number is wrong, not slightly off. Completely mathematically misleading. And once you understand why, the entire picture of your financial life looks different. The figure you keep seeing comes from Federal Reserve data, showing the average net worth for Americans aged 45 to 54 is $975,800, almost $1 million. That's the headline. That's the number that trends online and quietly destroys people's confidence every time they see it. But the median net worth for the exact same age group is $247,200. That's a gap of nearly $730,000. And understanding that gap is the single most important financial concept you'll encounter today. When you calculate an average, you add every person's net worth together and divide by the total number of people. The problem is that a small number of billionaires at the very top drag that figure into the stratosphere. Put Jeff Bezos in a room with 9 ordinary working Americans, and the average net worth of that room is roughly $21 billion. Technically accurate, completely useless. The median works differently. You line everyone up from poorest to richest and find the person standing exactly in the middle. That's your real neighbor. That's where most people actually stand. And the real median 45-year-old in America has a net worth of $247,000. Not $1 million, not even in the same conversation. Now here's where most people exhale and think, okay, $250,000. That's real money. I'm not doing so bad. And that feeling lasts right up until you see what that $247,000 is actually made of. For the typical 45-year-old, somewhere between 60 and 70% of their entire net worth is locked inside their home equity. That's not a stock portfolio. That's not a retirement fund you can tap in an emergency. That's the walls of your house. Take the median net worth of $247,000, subtract roughly $160,000 in home equity, and what's left is about $87,000 for absolutely everything else. Retirement savings, emergency fund, college money, investments, all of it. And home equity is not accessible wealth. You cannot pay your electric bill with it. You cannot hand a grocery store cashier a piece of your deed. To turn that equity into actual cash, your options are to sell the house and immediately spend the money on another house because you still need somewhere to live, refinance and extend your mortgage well into your 60s, or take out a home equity line of credit at around 9% interest, which is a bank charging you for the privilege of borrowing your own money. Strip home equity out of the national data entirely, and the median net worth collapses by 70%. The comfortable-sounding $250,000 net worth is largely a paper number built on rising housing prices. And it doesn't feel like wealth when you're standing in a parking lot trying to decide between gas and groceries. The retirement picture is where things get genuinely alarming. Fidelity's widely cited rule of thumb, considered the gold standard in retirement planning, says you should have 6 times your annual salary, saved by age 50, for someone earning the median household income of around $116,000. That means approximately $700,000 sitting in retirement accounts before their 50th birthday. The actual median 401k balance for Americans aged 45 to 54 is $60,163, not $600,000, $60,000. That's roughly half of 1 year's salary, about 10 times behind the benchmark. And when you add every retirement account together, 401ks, IRAs, pensions, everything, the median total retirement savings for this age group sits around $115,000, still nowhere near the target. Perhaps most sobering of all, 38% of households in their mid-40s to mid-50s have essentially zero retirement savings. Not a small amount. Zero. 3 out of every 8 households at what should be peak earning age have no meaningful retirement cushion. Understanding why this happened requires looking at timing, because this generation got hit by a uniquely brutal sequence of economic events. Between 2019 and 2023, years that included a pandemic, a historic stock market boom, and the largest housing price surge in modern memory. The 40 to 54 age group was the only age bracket in America to actually lose real wealth. Everyone else gained. Americans under 40 saw real wealth jump by 49%. People over 70 gained 15%. This generation lost 7%. If you were 30 in 2012, you had a decade of historically low mortgage rates and a roaring bull market to build wealth. If you were 65 in 2012, you already owned assets that simply appreciated while you watched. But if you were 35 in 2012, you were still recovering from the 2008 financial crisis. Wages were stagnant. And by the time you had enough stability to actually buy in, around 2019 to 2021, prices had already tripled. The window to build wealth the straightforward way closed at the exact moment it was supposed to open for this generation. Then layer on what researchers call the sandwich generation reality. According to Pew Research, 54% of Americans in their 40s are simultaneously supporting an aging parent and raising children, with 1 in 5 also financially helping an adult child. The average out-of-pocket elder care cost runs over $7,200 a year. Supporting an adult child costs the average parent around $1,384 a month. And raising a single child to age 18 now exceeds $320,000. This is not financial irresponsibility. This is one paycheck quietly funding 3 generations at once. And it explains everything the retirement balance doesn't. The benchmarks are broken. The comparisons are rigged, and the game got significantly harder. But it is not over. Know your real number, separate your liquid wealth from your home equity, attack high-interest debt first, and stop waiting on an inheritance that statistically may never come. The average 45-year-old is not a failure. They're navigating one of the most economically complicated periods in modern history, and most of them are still standing. That is genuinely the place where everything changes.